our strategy practice. She leads what's called Accenture Development Partnerships, which is the work we do with civil society across Africa. And I'm also joined by my colleague, Dawn Msibi. Dawn Msibi is an associate director within the public sector practice. The two of them, together with Dawn Ngobo, are going to anchor the conversation around how we design for digital government services in an era where we are focusing on the citizen. Okay.
Hello, everyone. It's such a tough act after lunch. We'll do our best. It's difficult to even get people to come join us as much as we've engaged a number of them. But we have such an important discussion to have. I know we're sitting in round tables. It's difficult for everyone to see at the same time. But we had a very engaging session at the beginning of this track where we looked at some of what government citizens or our South African citizens are saying about the e-services that they're actually receiving from government. We had a bit of good, a bit of bad, a bit of ugly, but it was very surprising to see how some of these citizens actually enjoyed the services that we're providing. And what we want to do today is to actually now see if we can actually do a little bit of thinking beyond limitations. We always think of, if I can make the same example my colleague did yesterday of home affairs, the first thing that comes to mind is that it's such long queues. How do we deal with that? How do we make that work? And it's not necessarily the right question to ask. It's almost like fixing a symptom and saying you're wanting to put a Band-Aid plaster on something that's hurting, but you're not asking, why is it that way? And I loved how she put it. She said, why don't we know that you were born 16 years ago? Why don't we know you registered for primary 10 years ago, and now you're in high school, you are in need of an ID? That's now thinking a little bit deeper into what it is that you need. And we want that ambitious ask this afternoon, for us to think a little bit deeper in everything that we provide services from a government perspective. So we've got a couple of topics that we're going to be looking at, and my colleague is going to moderate this session. She's going to tell us what to do. All we need to do is to come with an open mind and see how to actually interact and participate. She's going to tell us how long we've got to do what and what the outcome of this discussion should be. But my only challenge from myself is to say, let's think beyond just fixing symptoms. Let's look at what does good look like. If we were to think what good looks like without looking at process, technology, people, challenges or limitations or legislation or policy, whatever it is, what does good look like? And if we were to get to that as quickly as possible, how would we do that? So over to my colleague. Shiksha is amazing. She'll be able to actually get us thinking, and next week we'll be implementing. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the lunchtime session. Is everybody ready for this wonderful design thinking session we are about to embark on? Yeah, sit back, relax, and enjoy this journey. I'm just following off from this beautiful act that Dawn had given us, and also the lovely opening that Vari had given us. I seem to have a poll, so it seems like a Bollywood movie for me here. But I think, what we wanted to talk about today was really about asking ourselves the question of, are we digitizing or are we transforming? Today we're going to take a couple of departments within the government. What we are looking at today is answering a question of, are we just digitizing or are we transforming e-services within the government? There are three basic questions we're going to talk about, and you're going to discuss them in your sessions, in your little groups down here. And then you will have at least about 30 minutes to discuss it, and then we'll have a feedback from each session on those questions. Here are your questions. if you look at, as an example, the passport services, right? If you look at the passport services, what are some of the main points, frustrations that users experience when they are accessing or using, as an example, the passport service? The second is, how would you simplify and improve the process and make it easier and more efficient for the user as well as the staff at Home Affairs at the Passport Office? And third is, what are some of the changes or support do you think staff and the users need in order to successfully adopt? You have approximately 30 minutes to discuss these three questions, and then you will give us some feedback afterwards. Your time starts now.
Friday night, it was late, I was walking you home. We got down to the gate and I was dreaming of the night. Would it turn out right?
Round of applause, guys.
One of the opportunities that we also saw with this is that we did not go back to find out the user experience. So we don't know. So we keep systems there up until a time that people maybe will have a match, then we'll respond. Also, the support is via email. And we know, as government employees, there's been that challenge that sometimes when you phone any of our government institutions, nobody picks up. Now, emails, nobody comes back to you. So that interaction, so this is the reason why we are looking at having a bot that can be on the system. You just chat and then you get your Q&A responded to. Because some of the questions may not be record science. So we can build a Q&A inside the platform itself. So that's another opportunity. We are also identifying that they are not that user-friendly because many a times when we design solutions, we think only of certain category of people that are maybe in a suburban area and not necessarily people in rural. So the language and the jargon that we use sometimes does leaves people out because they don't understand what we are saying or what we mean. So that's another challenge that we picked up. We also don't cater for people with disability. I'll make an example. If you are blind, wanting to apply for a job, in fact, all or most government employees, we are struggling with the numbers in terms of attracting people with disabilities. Yet, we are all saying we don't know what the problem is, yet our systems are not accommodative. If you are blind, there are no voice prompts in our job portals. As you move, if there was a voice prompt, at least you would understand and know where you at, what is required. Now it's time to upload and things like that. So that's an opportunity for us to look at. Also, challenge of uploading documents linked to availability of data, you having a smartphone to take and convert that picture into a PDF format, it is a challenge that we have. So it's an opportunity once again. There's no real-time tracking of your position. Let's say 10 people have applied for a position, you just apply, and it's like you're throwing the application in a black hole. By faith, you will get a call. But many a times, you just don't know. But also, the fact that we're not transparent, when 10 people have competed for a position, at least let's give feedback to say, this is the person that has been appointed, and they met this particular criteria, and this is why they fared better, or now they move to the interviewing stage. So those are some of the gaps that, because we have not, as government, gone back after deploying or going live. We don't go back and assess the user experience. So that's a gap that we have. Now, how do we improve? Free service, make it a zero-rated service where you go online without necessarily requiring to have data. So there are those platforms that were open largely for academic reasons. Now we also want to extend it to the people that are unemployed. To say, go in, we know you are unemployed. Let's make it easy as a caring government that you don't need to have data in your phone in order to apply. We also thought of having support centers where if you are applying, at least let there be a place where you can walk in and get maybe a guidance if, let's say, a post is, because people in rural areas or people that may not have or proper understanding, at least let them have somewhere they can go to for just to be handheld. Effective use of data. What we have realized with all job platforms that we have created as government, we have not been able to keep that data. Every time there's a new post, you must upload. So the same cost is reoccurring. Now, if we are using data that we have as government effectively, we should actually be the one that say, you have applied for a BA position, you did not get it, we should actually send you an SMS or a WhatsApp to say another similar post that you were close to getting it, but you couldn't, it's available. We should be proactive because we know you are unemployed. So that's one of the ways of effective use of data. The awareness campaigns that we want to also have. One of the awareness campaign or it's to have on the platform itself, we can have a user manual that a person or a video in the platform that takes the person step by step on how to go about. And a multifunctional job portal. Let our job portals not only be for HR where they load the posts, let us also communicate internship, let us communicate free courses. Let's say Microsoft has a AI course available, let it be also accessible in that environment or communicated so that people can also get empowered while in our portal. A continuous improvement of processes. One of the things that the DDG mentioned is that sometimes we automate a problem. Even whenever a person we have a portal like this, some of the problems that we had are still going to be on the other, or on a digital platform. So let's improve them, identify these improvements every time, utilize a survey that then can give the users an opportunity to point us where we can improve. So one of the things that we can do, because we need to take staff members that are utilizing these platforms with us. The HR people have uploaded the position. Let us help them not to print out everything that has been submitted. Let's make it also digital in a way that they are able to utilize the systems that we have created. Because many a times we leave the users out and then we catered trying to resolve a problem, and yet the users of the information must still use the manual process, so it defeats the purpose. Let it be end-to-end processing so that we cover everything. But also the feedback loop, both us as employers communicating to prospective employees, but also give them a platform or a feedback to say the reason why you were not shortlisted for this particular position is 1, 2, 3. That transparency, but also point us on which course that people can then be able to empower themselves. Thank you.
Very, very insightful. I love it. I love the presentation. I love the in-depth thinking. Very exciting. And so we're going to go over to...
Okay. Prepped. We had prepped our speaker, and then as soon as our facilitator came through to the table, they said, "Oh yeah, he's speaking." And I'm like, "Wait, what? We discussed this. It was never me." So, but in any case, it's very interesting because we had quite a lot of similarities with the colleagues that just presented here, but there were some very interesting nuances that they introduced that we actually appreciated as well, because we had the conversation around if you were to ask the users themselves, right, the people behind the portals or the job portals, or even the citizens that actually go through these processes, to imagine a scenario where the experience is perfect, to say, if you could, they said, if you could ask them to be Cyril, right, and say, I want to make these changes, right, what will that experience look like? So we then said, well, you'll actually get different answers depending to the technology savviness of that end user, whether the end user is a staff member inside a government department or the user is a citizen, right? We have a wide demographic of users in government in terms of staff. We have interns that are coming in there, right? The digital natives, and we have people that are between 50 to 65 years old, and all of these people are in the same role in some of the cases, right? So when you say, imagine this portal being perfect for you, an 18-year-old and a 25-year-old and a 40-year-old and a 60-year-old will give you very different answers. So when we then say, okay, cool, actually, let's improve this process, that improvement means different things to those different users. So thinking that, I mean, thinking from, or beginning with the end in mind, to say already the complexity is at just, we know the problem, even the solution needs to have those levels of customization. So that's the first thing, right? That even after we've digitized, the pain points still remain, right? That this tool doesn't really talk to my level. There was no assessment that said, oh, actually, for these people, this is their technology savviness. Therefore, when we designed the user interface, we just came and said, okay, yeah, this one, we're digitizing, right? Yeah, you click here, you click there, and people are like, and then you look at the uptake of those digital portals, people still go and fill in the Z83 form and then want to put their CV in a box. And you're like, but hey, guys, we digitized, what's going on, right? So the very first pain point is not what you see pre-digitization, it's even post-digitization, that we did not consult, we did not involve, we did not have a design thinking session with all of the people that are somehow being assisted with digital transformation. So we digitized the technology, but not the process, or not even digitized just the thinking of what digital transformation actually means to the users. So we then digitize and say, oh, okay, people can actually then fill in the form, right? And then you put it, one of the portals, you download a Z83 form, you're like, oh, it's digital now. Oh, but now why do I have to download the form and fill in the form and then go and upload the form? Right, so okay, we've digitized, but yeah, we still want you to go and fill in the form, right? And then we're like, you've submitted the form, but like the colleague I mentioned earlier, yeah, you'll never hear from us again. Okay, and then another post comes out, and we say, oh yeah, here's another post. Yeah, but that form you submitted last year, yeah, we're not interested in it anymore. You need to fill in a new form. Right? They're like, oh yeah, actually, yeah, you didn't get that job, but here's another job in the same department. 2 months later, oh yeah, fill in another form. Right? So what have we really digitized? And why do we not have that entire engagement, or experience captured with the citizen as a record that just keeps getting updated to say, oh, now he has this qualification because the South African Qualification Authority has seen him. Oh, actually, this person now qualifies for this and that and that and that job. So we have all of the departments building digitalization platforms, and none of them are integrated. The Department of Education knows you at basic education. At higher education, they know you. SARS definitely knows you. Right? Home Affairs knows you. But all of them ask you to bring the record from the other department to them. Right? If I go to SARS, actually, SARS is a nice example of I suppose to some extent, the future state where we want to get to. Still some improvements here and there, right? So a lot of these are already very fragmented. And so some of the points here, we've spoken a lot, already about them, so I'm just gonna move on here. So the simplification talks about, you don't just simplify the process, you customize the process, right? You integrate the experience, you integrate the platforms, you have a single view that says, we have the vacancies, every department has vacancies. Like we don't know that, as the colleague mentioned, that these people, as they move out of the employment or they end up unemployed, we have to have that view, right? We know that from a succession planning point of view, when Kio moves on, there's 2,000 Kios that are waiting for that job. Why do we not tell them, hey, there's a DDG position that's right up your alley? Because we have your experience, we know where you've worked, we know you're unemployed right now. Why do we not prompt those people? Why are we not proactive? When we talk about artificial intelligence, I was saying today, I think someone was running a counter of how many times AI has been mentioned in all of the presentations. But do we still have paper-based processes? AI won't see those. Now, the theme for the event is one view, one citizen, one view. And essentially that's that integration that provides, excuse me. Thank you very much. That single view that provides a single source of truth for the citizen. A single source of truth for the citizen that, I'm going to open a very controversial topic. Right? The critical skills requirement in South Africa, right, that talks about how many jobs are allocated to people from outside the country when you have a huge amount of qualified, unemployed, highly skilled individuals in South Africa. That database exists. The unemployed graduate database exists. The unemployed qualified doctors database exists. So the government knows, but all of those databases are sitting in different environments. So if we imagine a future of how do we digitize, how do we create that single view, it is establishing those databases that provide a single source of truth, where we understand that to transform and to move the country forward, we have to look at how do we customize that entire process. So without further ado, the last point here just talks about walking the digital journey of, sorry, I'm losing track here. Walking the digital journey with our end users as we digitize. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, I did lose my train of thought, so allow me to close. Thank you. Okay.
Amazing, amazing. You had the biryani, I can see. I love it. Very, very insightful. And I love how both the teams had the same topic, but very different ways of thinking of it, and a lot of similarities, but different ways of thinking of it. I'm going to pass it over to the last group that takes us through Department of Labor. If I can give you 5 minutes or less. Who's the speaker from here? Ah, okay.
I'm Moraro. I'm with the Center of Emerging Researchers. So we were tasked with looking at the user experience of the Department of Labor job application, right? So what we then did, we tried to put ourselves, instead of us as the Department of Labor, but as a customer, the one that is utilizing the platform. So what we then what we then figure out is that most of the time, especially with the government services, is it's only bad if the outcome is not achieved. So if the client then goes through the process and then get the job and everything else, the onboarding process is smooth, the experience was good. But if there is a breaking point somewhere along the process, you will then have a bad experience, right? So there is somewhere where we might have gaps wherein the outcome was achieved, but the data is not collected because we're only looking at the outcome, right? So then we also, when looking at how it appears, there's no centralized view, right? So I'm trying not to repeat what has been said by the previous speakers. So when you look on the internet there are many websites where you don't have a direct link to access the platform. Also, like the other mentions, it depends on where you are. So if you already selected the Gauteng province, you will not have access to the jobs that are available in the KZN. So we were thinking there's no centralized platform wherein you just put your information once and then everything else you select, right? That goes to the, and then we also, like the previous speaker said, we don't have job matching based on what you have applied for previously, and wherein you get alerts, say, based on your previous application, based on your experience, these are the jobs that would match your skills, that you are most likely to be successful into. Yeah, I think most of the stuff has been covered, and also just to touch on the design, I think maybe we are aware that it's a pilot, but then the design of the website, the movement, the scrolling also when you're doing onboarding is very poor, right? Sometimes if you scroll down too much on the mobile, when you scroll up, there is a problem. There is some part where it's not visible. Okay. So, and then to go to the second question, in terms of improving the process, we decided to then go with the hybrid model, wherein we're saying instead of having each province having their own platform, let's have a centralized platform wherein you put in your details once, then you will have access to all the posts available. Yes, we can have categories to say these ones are in KZN, but you don't have to go to another website and do another registration. Do once, register once, and all your information is shared. I think that's also has been the conversation of this platform, right? Also, it's also one of the multi-factor authentication. You do it once, yeah, and then also capture the information once. Then we move into the single source as well. It's one database, the language, but more on the language also, I will touch more into it when I go to the users, right? I think also, like the gentleman mentioned, when you have to apply for another post, you would have to re-enter your details instead of just saying, use my last application. I think with most of the private entities, when you are applying on their website, they will then ask you, do you want to input your data again, or do you want to use your last application, when you just go and confirm the details, and where you want to edit, then you can edit. And then on the last question, in terms of what can we then do to improve in terms of the staff and the users. So when it comes to the staff, I think the gentleman covered much on the change management, where we upskill our staff, and then we train them, also do not periodic workshop, not just a once in a year program. Maybe we can go and check 6 months, and then we will then monitor the progress as to, okay, are they experiencing any challenges during this process? Then we continuously upgrade. And then when it comes to the users, we went with the approach of meeting the clients where they are, right? So we will profile the clients. So if it's the jobs that require highly qualified people, then we know the type of language that we can use with them. But if it's the jobs that are on the lower end, how do we then communicate with them so that we then adjust the jargon to their level? And also on how then can we maybe, like the gentleman mentioned, in terms of skills, how can, if we say this job requires these certain skills, and if we see that these guys are now in their application, they're not mentioning all the skills. So they create a profile, then we can have suggestive to say, for this type of roles and experience that you have, these are the skills that you should have. So we have those alerts built into their profile so that they can add to improve their chances when they apply again. Thank you.
Very, very well done. And give yourself a round of applause for everybody that did Department of Labor. It wasn't easy. And I would encourage all of you to please have a look at Job Portal on SA Youth. Some of the things that we did speak about today really does, show itself up in SA Youth itself. So please feel free, if you have youth at home, to go in, have a look at what SA Youth looks like. But we're going to take back and collate this information and create a little action book, and then make sure that it is available. All right, so let's very quickly go on to Department of Home Affairs. And you look ready,
Good afternoon, everyone. I've just been given only 5 minutes, but I will try to summarize it all to only 2.5 minutes, because all the pain points of e-services, the first speaker, second speaker, and the third speaker spoke about. It's an issue of availability and accessibility of the systems online, which are the main challenges that we face, everyone who wants to access those systems. If there is no network availability at Department of Home Affairs, definitely there is no user that will be able to have access to those services that they are offering. And if the users or the staff that is at Home Affairs doesn't understand between, or have a differentiation between accessibility and availability, we're going to have problems. Because one, if a user was trained last week on this system, on how to use the system and how to assist people within that system, if that user or that staff member there is no willingness or hasn't adopted into that new system or e-services system that has been given to them, they are not going to use that system to actually assist people. Then that will mean that they will go back to the manual process of doing things, which is duplication of systems within the organization, and that would then go back and say that that was fruitless expenditure, because how do you then weigh the functionality of that system if that system is not being used? So those are the actual challenges that everyone would be facing in terms of when we talk about e-services. And also the issue of communication when it comes to these things that are not available. At least it would be beneficial that when e-services is not up and running, users are then advised that our system is unavailable for now. I don't know, some do not have smartphones, or some do not have internet access at times, but broadcasting that whenever the system is not available. Especially there is an SLA, I believe, that the department has with its service providers or within the department, that if the system is not available for so much, for more than 2 hours or more, then users need to know that the system is not available so that they do not keep on trying to log on to the system. So I think all in all, those will be also the main pain points. And also, colleagues also mentioned the issue of the use of the system by the staff. To say that if I know, you see, I've just met him now. If he was in the front office of Home Affairs, I was going to then now in the near future call him and say that, no, you know me, I must get a slot there in Pretoria town. So can you please do this for me? So that is another challenge that we are facing, that other people are getting means of getting in front in the line using the e-services, which the slot is allocated by back office people, of which that is that would say form part of corruption or something like that. And then I think it would then means that it's over our power as users, but then the department might need to look at how they can curb that loophole or that bottleneck. I think I'm not sure with the issues. I think the pain points, those will be the ones, and then the others that were mentioned by colleagues. The department is already under, the department is already undergoing the implementation of self-service kiosk, so that people, when they arrive at Home Affairs, they can be able to use those self-service kiosks for them to be able to apply, so that they don't use their data or internet to do those things. The department is also busy with integrating with the banking applications like Capitec and all that, where people are going to be able to apply for their passports through the Capitec app, and then that will make it easier for them. And then the other thing would be to have means of verification, your facial recognition system, where you will not have to go to Home Affairs because you have been offered an e-service. Now you do not need to go to Home Affairs to take fingerprints and all that. So through your smartphone, you can be then be able to do facial recognition to then cap or close that gap of you traveling to Home Affairs, and then they can just, like when you are making, they can just then courier your passport at home. So that will also assist in terms of improving the service that we are getting from e-services. Yeah, because I'm left with 30 seconds, we can move to to number 3. To assist staff, I think I've already touched on that in the first when I was talking about the pain points. I think these things talk to each other. To assist staff, it would be definitely need to train your staff, need to make sure that there is a change management that is implemented within the organization. There is also road shows that are being done by Home Affairs to go and help people apply for their identities and all that. Whilst those tracks are still there, I am assisting those people for people to know and be aware of e-services on how they can apply for their passports. There should be advertisements in those tracks that are talking and to the exact services that they are offering online. And then daily checks of the systems. In the morning, there should be operations meetings. They are already doing them. Those operations meetings are the ones that are going to then assist ICT in communicating if there are any glitches within the system. The system is slow because of APC&T, but ICT is working on it. The system will be available in the next hour or so. That will then assist the user as well as the staff in terms of knowing what is the problem, which then takes us back to accessibility or availability, which many of the front office users, they tend to not understand. We would say there's a problem with the network at Home Affairs, but there is no problem with the network at Home Affairs. Just that one user disconnected his or her computer from the network, and then that user is not working, and then he was supposed to, maybe based on his performance agreement, he was supposed to serve at least 100 people in a day, but he's unable or she's unable to do that. So those ops meetings will assist into that, and then also us as government following the Batupili principles, which is bringing the services to the people at the right time and also efficiently. So I think we will end there. We tried to summarize as much as we can. My name is Pasika, surname is Mtolo. I'm from SASA. Thank you very much.
Lovely presentation. Absolutely love the insights that's come from this, especially since I also had to do my passport and it wasn't a very nice experience. I'm just joking. I'm joking.
So we took a practical experience from our group. The group started with a full table, but yeah, we are left 3 of us. So hence he joined me for presentation. Yeah, we outline our frustrations from a practical point of view, where we interacted with a system which was really not user-friendly at all. It's always offline, which presents poor service to the department. And it's also time consuming, you know, even the turnaround time they give you, you apply, they give you 14 days for the response and so forth, especially the passport issue. They've opened the services to a few banks, but only for the elite. I don't know, my other team member said, no, it's only, I think now that they are going for Capitec. So if they can open that up for others, probably it will assist. And then the fees are too high. And also what we have, proposed is that they must introduce what they call the means test. Means test, they look at your affordability. You cannot charge a person that is not unemployed the same as the person that is employed who's earning a big salary. So we are looking at the means test, if they can introduce that so that you can cater for the disadvantaged people. And also I think for government institution, you know, we get charged even when we are going for, you know, official trips, those that have went to official trips. They should be that the pro amico, fee for government institutions, because of you are going there on a official business. Yeah. I think we can just go to the next one. So we said in terms of improvement, digitization, yes, and then we'll opt for the hybrid so that we can cater for the disadvantage. There's one presenter talked about having a system that is not used for by others who are unable to access it, like the disabled people as well as disadvantaged communities. So we chose the hybrid so that you can have a choice on both. And then integration interface, obviously for validation, online validation, in that you will be having system data interoperability, capable, where you can actually verify whatever information that you want. Look, so one of the team member even indicated that, with SAPs, they can actually cap crime through that. One apply, but they've got the criminal case. So if you've got that interoperability, you are able to cap that. And then in terms of the change support, we are saying there must be an upskill and training in digital transformation for both internal as well as external, because of otherwise you wouldn't have a system that is used by people. So you must have you must cater for both. You must just engage into a very intense change management for your clients as well as your staff, so that the system is used. We also said employ organizational change management, wherein from the onset, you must carry and take your clients as well as your internal staff through so that they understand the vision. So normally you'll get the system being implemented without having staff even being part of the system, the development part of it. So if you can take them through that process, then it will be easier for them to understand your desired, transformation at the end. So then we say, for an easy, assistance, you must employ the AI chat box. It's a more interactive chatbot. You can even have, a human being on the other side so that they can attend to practical questions and also queries from deadlines. I think that is it from our team, but the most, I think we share the same view with the other colleagues. Thanks. Oh, by the way, I'm Jabuma Pumulo, I'm from DITS.
Absolutely fabulous. Thank you, guys. Give yourself a round of applause. You guys did an amazing job. Yes, yes.
I just wanted to touch on the guy who spoke about the one from the government school. Yes, he said something like, if you try to implement something, if you try to implement something as a department and you see that it's not working, why can't you speak to other departments? Because I always refer to SARS. SARS, they've got a good system, and then you ask yourself, what's happening with your Department of Health, Department of Labor, because now they're government, but they don't work together. If SARS is working for everyone, why can't we speak to SARS and implement what needs to be done to all the departments, and we're not gonna have all these frustrations?
No, good. I think, some of the takeaways that we've gotten from today and very deep insights, that's something I'm most excited about, is that everybody in this room really knows the frustrations, the challenges, and the nuances because you yourself have faced it. If you've gone for an ID card, if you've gone for a passport, if you've tried to apply for a job, you've all gone through it, right? But I think the government's making significant changes in trying to create this digital transformation one step at a time. So, kudos to them for being able to do it. I think the important thing is just raising awareness when you are doing these types of digitization. It's about understanding the journey that goes behind it. It's the journey not only for the user, but the staff itself as well. And so I think there's something that, Kabelo even spoke about, the design thinking, the user experience. These are very important as we start to develop what we want to as a journey that somebody takes when they are applying for a passport. It's not just applying for a passport, it's the journey that they go through. It's the experience that they go through. And that's what creates the faith that we have back. When we talk about even from an e-service being hybrid, some manual, some on system, you can apply on a system, but then when you go to do your biometrics, then you have a terrible experience. Or it could be you have a terrible experience with the system, but then when you go to take your biometrics, it's a good it's a good experience. So, it's about the journey that somebody needs to go through. And I think that's what we're very excited about today. We do want to close off with somebody that's going to help us just close off and round off some of the sentiments we spoke about over the session itself. And that's talking about Kabelo coming in and giving, if anybody of you have been here for that session, it's about walking through all the sentiments that the citizens are having. Where are the e-services that are mostly used? Where are the e-services that are least used? And being able to pinpoint that in a type of a heat map. Then it's also talking about, from a school perspective, how are we envisaging what the school system looks like, and, are we going through the right journey for schools itself? And we have taken you through the journey of your own sentiments, primary feedback, getting it from the horse's mouth themselves, telling us, how do we improve that system? And so with that, I'm just going to hand over to Dawn, and she's just going to close for us. And I think we have one more speaker.
Thank you so much for your participation. I'm going to open the floor to just 1 or 2 questions. Just in case you've got a burning question and you were not nominated to be a speaker and you just wanted to maybe make a comment or maybe set a record straight on something, just quick questions, not all together, just one at a time, please. Anyone who wants to actually just make a quick point? Yes, okay. We'll start with you, Mr. You can introduce yourself and...
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Mabilo Nkadiming. I'm from Department of Home Affairs. I just wanted to talk about the fragmented processes that we currently have, in government, and with the ultimate goal of achieving this digital transformation journey. Because earlier on, when our facilitator was having 2 presenters there, when we were talking about, I think it was presenters from both SITA and DCDT. That's when I realized that we really need to start working, together, not in silos. Because the very same message that we're preaching along one data, one citizen, one service delivery. And I think to a certain extent, the facilitator also hinted that we currently have a South African digital transformation roadmap, which is currently sitting in the office of the president. It's actually driven by presidency, but the leading department of digital transformation is actually SARS. And we also happen to participate in that, in the work stream for digital ID. And I'm raising this because DCDT also indicated that they are running a prototype on digital ID. And in my engagement as well with the colleagues from DCDT, they also raised their frustrations that they were trying to get hold of Home Affairs, so that they can, start collaborating. And, in my own opinion, I think SITA should be driving digital transformation as the technology agency of government, of course, in collaboration with other departments. And for that matter, DCDT as well should be one of the leading departments. It's a pity that we're all talking about digital transformation, and already there's a portal called Mzansi portal. I don't know if colleagues have actually seen the portal called My Mzansi. Now, this is where we, government is already talking about digital transformation. So I would actually encourage that perhaps maybe SITA must stop taking a back seat and be the leader it's supposed to. Because I think for us to have a meaningful digital transformation, we need, to see SITA, taking advantage of that, and so that we ultimately have a meaningful digital transformation journey taking place. Because otherwise, we'll just end up with these pockets of digital transformation, with Home Affairs sitting in their own corner talking about digital transformation. And you also have SARS being touted as the most advanced driver of digital transformation. But this is not about competition. It's about making sure that we centralize all these services and make sure that we improve the services that we want to render to citizens. So I thought, let me just also share that, because unfortunately earlier on, I did not have an opportunity to make that contribution. And thanks for giving me that opportunity to share that with the audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nice insights from Department of Home Affairs. And in part of closing this session, we've got our colleague Vari, who's going to introduce the closing remarks and who is coming from. Over to you.
Thanks, everyone. Good afternoon once again. We have the pleasure of having the Portfolio Committee Chair for Communications and Digital Technologies. I am going to have a brief chat with her. I was just briefing her before the session about the conversations we've been having in this room and sort of the outcomes of the conversation. And we want to continue by looking at it more holistically from a whole of government lens, but specifically starting to think about moving from, we've spent a lot of the time today in insight, and then we started transitioning to understanding, and now we're trying to think about solutions. So the conversation we want to have is a solution-focused view of how do we take digital government services forward. Chair, I'd invite you to come up front.
Good afternoon, Farai. Let me also greet everybody in the room. I can see that I am on the midnight shift here. Everybody's tired. I'm standing between you and the Bafana Bafana game. My name is Kusela Sangonitigo, a Member of Parliament and Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on on Communications and Digital Technologies. I know you're supposed to talk, but I get paid to talk for a living. So if you give me, I just want to thank the acting MD. I'm sure there are board members from SITA who are here, so just to thank them as well for inviting Parliament here, and to congratulate you, leadership. I know it hasn't been easy to get GovTech back on track, so well done, and we're hoping to see, more of these positive improvements happening. Thank you, Fari. You can get your show back on then.
No, I actually want you to speak more than me today, so I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions. A lot of our session today anchored on this idea of the voice of the citizen, right? From a committee perspective, what is your perspective on how do we ensure the voice of the citizen is centered as we build digital government services?
Yeah, I really wish, I'm not sure if any of the members had participated in the sessions that you had today, but I wish that, we had been part of this discussion from the onset. The first thing I want to say is that I love the fact that you're talking about digitizing government. Although there's always debates about digitizing, digitalization, what exactly are we doing? And one thing that I know that I don't personally hear when we speak as South Africans, as a South African government, is this emphasis on, yes, digital first, but not digital only. Because that's where I think we need to start. If you look at South African society today, I mean, while there's been improvement, and I know you've spoken on this issue of infrastructure, right? We're not yet at a point where we can say we can even digital first. At the level of Parliament, we are still focused on ensuring universal connectivity, reliable access, affordable access. And sometimes when you raise these issues, I think the view of the citizen is that you're not talking to us, right? You're not talking to us. You're very far away from us. I was addressing a media briefing in Parliament yesterday, and I think it was OUTA, Organization Undoing Tax Abuse. We mentioned this issue of the digital transformation roadmap, MyMzansi, and so forth, and what government intends to do, right? So we speak about the digital IDs, we speak about the driver's licenses, the members of parliament who were pushing, where is this, when is it happening? And OUTA says, yeah, but you've got such a broken system. You've got such a broken system. There was a question there on the board that says, are you just digitizing or are you transforming? Now, without having spoken to the brilliant minds in this room, I said, no, I'm sure the first thing that they need to do is to clean up that system, ensure data integrity, and. But I don't know who's talking about that. Are you talking together? When I walked in, the gentleman that I think is from Home Affairs was speaking about silos. The silos are so entrenched. When you were giving me a briefing, Farid, the first question I asked you is, are the Operation Vulindlela people here? Ne? Because if you're having these conversations and they're running My Mzansi, at which point do you think there's going to be convergence? So it cannot be that we continue to operate this way. We're hoping that soon we'll have a conversation in Parliament with SITA, firstly to understand how far they are since the interventions that the minister would have made this year, but secondly to also say, guys, what's happening on your laws? We came across in Parliament a presentation, and when I say come across, I mean literally came across, a presentation that one of our researchers just happened to be sitting in the Portfolio Committee on Public Service and Administration. They're talking about this thing that you are talking about here. SITA convenes you to talk about it with the DCDT, the presidency, and so forth, and we haven't even begun to look at the foundation. So I suppose what I'm saying is that there's a lot of things that need to be done to prepare the ground for this. And then as we do that and putting the citizens first, it's about connectivity, it's about the skills, it's about, I mean, digital skills we can speak the whole day about. And it's about ensuring, like this government always says, that no one is left behind. So what is that going to look like? Maybe let me stop there, Farid.
I love where you're leading because it's part of the conversation we've been having earlier today. It's clear that there is a groundswell, a grassroots movement almost coming from the different departments around the opportunity that digital presents. It's not a holistic opportunity. We have to think about inclusion, access, not widening the digital gap, right? But there is certainly a groundswell that's coming up. How do we orchestrate all of these different players, right? And I'm really curious, your perspective, sitting as chair of the portfolio committee, how do we start to orchestrate SITA, DCDT, Office of the Presidency, all of these entities that are working, it seems we're working towards one aim, but we're not working in a united way. What's your sense in how we get that right?
I'm worried about DCDT and its role in government because the DCDT is really supposed to be at the center of this. It should be a no-brainer. Ne? And the fact that we are sitting in these rooms and asking how do we bring people together shows that there's a problem. I unfortunately missed the minister's speech yesterday, but I remember when there were decisions being taken around SITA, broadband in Fraco and so forth. I said to the minister, you need to decide whether you want to be a policy department. So you are norms and standards and that's your role and you're also encroaching into the space of public service and administration, or you want to be at the center of digital transformation of government. Now, if you're at the center, we need to reimagine the role of DCDT. It's almost like in a corporate company, you know, where you have an executive responsible for corporate services and IT is there somewhere, or you have an executive responsible for ICT, which means that you're understanding that it's a strategic function. Now, I would have thought that that's where DCDT locates itself, and it's not quite clear. So we want to engage with the presidency. My understanding of Operation Vulindlela and how then digital transformation finds itself there is that the presidency is keen on unlocking the network industries for economic growth. Yeah. And then as part of those critical network services becomes ICT. Yeah. So they would be driving in that sense, but they don't necessarily own it. So I know that the DG of the DCDT together with the DG of the National Treasury are supposed to form part of a task team, which is fine, that's institutional. But when are we talking about the laws? And I suppose that's important for me because, you know, coming from Parliament, until we get that foundation right, it doesn't hold water. The SITA Act needs to be revised. The Public Service Act needs to be revised. And then we need to look at sorry, I digress. I once had a conversation with the Minister of Treasury on this matter because I was saying, but how do you allow these regulations to be signed off, which in essence are dismantling SITA? And his conversation is, and I wish I knew the gentleman from Home Affairs' name because I want to pick on him because Home Affairs is a very big, is very big in this. So the minister says, no, but everybody is fighting for space, right? Everybody wants territory. They have IT professionals and they think that it's their role to be doing what they're doing, regardless of the fact that as a government, as a country, we would have taken a view that says, let's have a central agency in the form of SITA. And until you get that, you're able to break down those mentalities even before the silos, then we're not going to get anywhere. We'll push as much as we can. I'm hoping Mr. Reddy is going to initiate with the minister legislation that we can support him in and look at then the entire framework. I'm not excited, I don't want to lie. This digital public infrastructure thing just sounds to me like South Africa looking at things across the world, not considering our local conditions. Yeah, it's great. I mean, all the countries are doing it, né? But we don't have the framework for us to do it. And until we go back to the framework and agree how are we going to do it, yeah. Like I want it to happen, né? But I just want us to do it correctly, and I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah. So it's interesting. You are echoing so much of today's conversation for the people who've been in this room today. Right at the beginning of the day, one of the first question we had was, how are we designing a digital roadmap if we're not designing it for ourselves? We seem to be taking these ideas from wherever, but they're not going to work if we don't design them for our context, our people, our history, our culture, our laws. So how do we really center ourselves and create a pragmatic digital transformation roadmap that mirrors our existence? And I think that's echoing exactly your thoughts. Besides that, what else do we need to do to ensure success in digital government services from your perspective? Or what are those critical success factors that we just need to land and we need to get right?
So I think it was in April or March this year, I went to Tanzania. And I remember coming back from Tanzania and I was telling anybody who would listen, yeah, I saw the New Jerusalem in Tanzania, you know? Because what they had there, they had a national vision, okay, or my interpretation of what they had there. There was a national vision, which, okay, I don't have the details of their national vision, but what I would like to see in a South African context is where platforms like this, we use them to sit down and co-create where we're going.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's correct that government sits on its own, takes a decision, then launches it, and then everybody is supposed to fall in line. I think it's part of the reason why this thing is not working. We always speak about consultation, ne? Which is not co-creation. I'd like us to sit, whether it's with the mobile network operators, the infracos, everybody, and say, what is it going to take for you to achieve success and for the country to achieve success? And what does that success look like? And then we're able to craft a 5-year, 10-year strategy for the ICT sector, which is not the ICT policy. I'm talking about us putting our money where our mouth's at and saying this is where we are going as a country and we're going to cooperate. Then I want to look at the things that we're not looking at, right? So when I was referencing Tanzania, they had a whole digital public infrastructure thing as well. Then when they speak about digital ID, they're looking at firstly your hard, sorry, I'm not an ICT person. So there's the hard and, so at the hard level is your infrastructure, which is where we need to start. And we're all agreeing on the challenges that are there. But within the hard infrastructure, you have, like I was saying, the infracos, the telcos, the data centers, the undersea cables, the whatever. If I was to ask, and I have asked ICASA, where are these things? Who knows all of them? Are they regulated? Do we have a common strategy? Or somebody just wakes up and decides, right? So for me, that's the first, and then obviously the apps and what they're going to look like, and for once to just cooperate. But I think that with the national strategy, which is monitored on a regular basis by industry, by government, it's a good way to begin. And then we need to bring everybody then on board, right? And ensure that in the rural areas, I mean, if we achieve nothing else as a portfolio committee over the term of the remaining term, which is 4 years, if we can just get rural connectivity right.
Yeah.
And that's why we are kicking and screaming, because we believe that the potential of a lot of our people is untapped. In the cities, yes, you may need to look at skills there, you may need to look at, what sort of applications you put in, but we need to go fetch the people in the rural communities, ensure they have access, because then you begin to open up a totally different world for them.
Yes.
So that, I didn't speak about digital public service, you will find yourselves there, right? But for me, the important thing is that national vision, and digital public service is part of it.
Thank you. I want to open up the conversation to the rest of the room. I'm sure you guys are burning to ask questions.
Good afternoon, Chairperson and members of the Portfolio Committee. First of all, I want to put a disclaimer. I'm not speaking on behalf of Home Affairs.
The biggest culprit.
Yeah, these are my own opinions. Should we encourage government departments to divorce themselves from SITA? I know, and we all know, that SITA has got its own challenges. But is divorcing ourselves from SITA the right way to go? Or should our focus be on strengthening SITA so that it can be the agency that it was formed for? And I'm raising this because, Chairperson, I've been following all your articles around the issue, especially when the regulations were introduced. And I've been following that with keen interest. And it was also my wish that one day we can have a conversation. And of course, when we have that conversation, I will also articulate my own opinions and not that of the department, because I know where the department stands on SITA issues, and I don't want to be part of those conversations. But I think as a citizen and as in the best interest of building a real technology agency, these are necessary discussions that we really need to look into. You've correctly talked about My Mzansi, which I happened to participate in some of the work streams. And I've also noticed a lack of participation, or perhaps maybe they're not being invited, DCDT and SITA. And I have in other platforms, asked about participation of SITA, DCDT, including State Security Agency. Because sometimes when we talk about digital identity, when we talk about PKI, and the fact that Home Affairs, it has got critical systems. And there's no way where we can talk about those critical systems and not involve SITA and not involve State Security Agency and other relevant parties. So yeah, let me pause at that point, Chairperson. Thanks.
You still didn't give us your name.
My name is Mabilo Nkadimeng.
Thank you, Mr. Nkadimeng. On that question, I would throw it back to the room and ask, did we either fulfill the mission that SITA was established for, or is that mission no longer relevant? And where I'm sitting, the answer to both is no, we did not fulfill it, or yes, but yes, there is still a need for a state information technology agency. And I think that part of the problems that we are seeing today are because the SITA has been weakened. I am a great believer. It's not an ideological posture, or somebody could argue it is, but I'm a great believer on the need to strengthen the capacity of the state. And I don't believe in throwing out the baby with the bathwater, which is what I think is happening now. You are having a situation where, oh my goodness, the ports don't work, give it to the private sector. Oh my goodness, the rail system doesn't work. These things have worked, right? We know that there has been challenges that have arisen. Resolve the problem, put in the hard work, which is what I've always been saying. You have AXA, which is showing a remarkable turnaround. You have Denel, which is showing remarkable turnaround. South African Airways and so forth. So I'm just saying, put in the work. Let's not throw these institutions out because they are vital. The CEO of BLSA, it was one thing that I asked her, just give me one of your big private sector companies where everybody does as they wish. So this division will take a decision that they're running SAP, then these other ones go do whatever. There's no center, and yet you expect coherence. It's never going to happen, especially in government. So I think that we need to strengthen SITA. I was heartened when Mr. Reddy was saying that they are automating, especially the supply chain management processes, because I do think a huge part of the problem is there around procurement and then the procurement delays. So hopefully if that is automated, there's obviously an issue of culture and morale, leadership instability. We're sitting now 9 months into the year, they still don't have a permanent board or a permanent managing director. But that is the work that needs to be done. Okay? We are not going to get this right. And then the political leadership of this institution and the administrative leadership, they must champion the cause of SITA. They must champion the cause of SITA. It's been our approach. And by the way, okay, I think I'm getting spicy now, but no, but I was going to say, because when we spoke to Minister Malatsi on our belief that he's weakening SITA, he says to me, no, but his colleagues in cabinet support him, right? And he went to the media and he said the same thing. And I said, when your colleagues were at SITA, were ministers of communication, they did not allow anybody to weaken SITA. It's not like the problems were not there, but they championed the cause of that institution because they were having custodianship and stewardship of it. You have an opportunity to turn this thing around. You can get new management, you can get a new board. Already there's a lot that the institution is doing. Run with it, Do not allow it to disintegrate. So I'm sure we're looking at things from different viewpoints, but my long answer to your question, Mr. Nkaribeng, is that I truly believe that there's still a role for SITA. I do not believe that we are going to achieve our objectives if we are operating in a fragmented manner. I was very hopeful that the structure, is it called GTOC? I don't know how GTOC operates, but if you have the CIOs there, and all of us are working towards a single genuine cause, hopefully then the support that SITA requires should come from there. And the leadership of SITA, you guys know what you need to do. I mean, I don't know how many investigations and things you are sitting with right now, including ours, Mr. Subra, that we thought you've got enough on your plate. Let's allow those things to be completed. But we believe, as members of parliament, we believe that you have a critical role to play. And until we get that right and we align the laws, align the policies and the strategies with you at the helm, it's not going to take us anywhere. You mentioned, Mr. Ngadiweng, that SITA, DCDT and SSA were not in those discussions. I want to say to you, I want to know why Postbank is not there. Because if we're talking about digital payments, and then you have the Reserve Bank, I don't know who they acquired the other week, but this is our institution, the State Bank, that we're saying we're building. Why are they not there? Why? The CEO of Postbank did not even know what I was asking her when I said, China, so digital services unity, where are you? She says, in what? I don't know about it. So this is the problem, Fari, that we are facing in getting what you want us to do right in terms of the digitization of public services. If we can cut the silos, cut the duplication. I can go on about duplication and the wastage that then comes as a result of it, and have a common strategy. We would really go forward. There's that Bafana game, girl.
Okay. Yes. I know I'm challenged. My name is Semin Komonde, and good afternoon, Chairperson. Yes, most of the points that I wanted to raise, we have raised it. And sitting here as a customer of SITA, I'm from Gauteng Provincial Treasury. So we consume services from SITA. But the posture, what led to what SITA has become, is the posture they had forgotten the reason why they existed. They've forgotten that they are actually existing to service government and make government to work. That's why today SITA can afford to watch people or various departments duplicating and spending on systems that some of it they already have. The departments, as their customers, have lost confidence in SITA. But as a customer of SITA, you worry if, you ask yourself if SITA is aware that the whole country does not trust them. And now, once you start to identify those problems, you come up with a strategy to say, how do we turn ourselves around? How do we gain trust from our fellow government department? When you hear more departments wanting to get out of SITA, it's indicating a loss of confidence. And that turnaround time with clear timelines need to come out. And SITA can't be a victim anymore. They need to stand up and own up and say, you know what, we were a joke before, we are fixing, and this is our turnaround plan. Then you gain confidence. But we cannot continue to say, feel sorry for SITA. SITA got themselves where they at, and for them to turn themselves around, it will happen if they take themselves seriously and reposition themselves. And we will support them because we believe in having SITA. In our country, the minister spoke about data sovereignty. It's very clear and critical that we control our data. We produce personal data, employee and supplier data. All our data is now going to be scattered should the conduct that we even see in municipalities. All our municipalities run different financial systems, and that's a risk. And it's because the center has stopped holding. So I think this is just a call to SITA to say, reposition yourself, we need you. The country needs you. And put in a plan, we will assist you to turn yourself around. That's all. Thanks.
No, I have nothing to add to that, Mr. Nkomonde. Juanga, I was battle ready. Ne? I thought you were going on a SITA bashing session. But no, thank you. I totally agree with those sentiments. Thank you.
Thank you, Portfolio Chair. I know we rushed you in here and then we bombarded you with questions. You've been very much up to the task. We continue the conversation on digital government services tomorrow. We take into account what you've shared with us. I think you've dropped nuggets of wisdom that are central to how we must re-strategize going forward. I'm also hoping the SITA and the DCDT leadership, my fellow counterparts in this track, are listening to some of these inputs. We know that we've moved GovTech from being a conference and just an event. We want it to be a program, and I think it's important, and we will drive together with our SITA and DCDT colleagues to make sure that these recommendations live beyond this conference. So thank you for making the time.
Thank you, Fari. Maybe if I could just say one thing.
Yes.
I mean, I wish you all the best, and I think I'll try and attend just to listen tomorrow.
Yes.
But I really welcomed what Mr. Reddy was saying, and you've just repeated that SITA is no longer an event, it's a program. And I think it's going to what I was saying about a vision. Please do spend, even if it's 30 minutes, on this issue of legislation.
Okay.
As Parliament, we would welcome the opportunity to be a partner to yourselves, where you identify, what's the word I'm looking for, impediments to achieving digital public services and digital government services because of legislation and policy. We are offering ourselves to stand in the gap there and support where we can. So thank you very much. All the best. And SITA, dude, put in the work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Let's give a hand. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, everyone. I think that wraps us up for the day. There's nothing much more to add now that our portfolio chair has spoken. We resume tomorrow morning, bright and early at 9. I'm just checking any announcements, anything to add? No, no, no. Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everybody.